Hey everybody, Chris here. We have some conflicting outlooks for Dogecoin and cryptocurrency right now, which we're going to talk about in this video. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel, hit that little notification bell too. You can be notified when my new videos come out, as well as when I do live streams. And we do have a little bit of a Groundhog Day situation going on here with this up and down price action. And it's getting some people worried about what's going to happen. We're also comparing to what's going on in the overall markets. Everything seems to be a little overheated except gold, and when gold is going up like it is, sometimes that puts the brakes on these very bullish outlooks for other assets. But Bitcoin is supposed to be like against the money supply, so or the money value, and if that's going down, Bitcoin should be going up, but sometimes it follows it, and it's all kind of a mess. So I'm going to show you what I think here, particularly for Dogecoin's future, but let's get into the charts and news. I'll show you what I'm looking at. And we start here looking at the current Dogecoin price, and we're like 24/7 right now after an overnight dip from yesterday's fallback. You know, just yesterday, right? Same time, we were talking about the day before and its fallback and the dip that came down. And then during the day, yesterday, right, Dogecoin rallied up back to 26 cents. And then in the afternoon, started falling again. And then overnight, back down. Groundhog Day, like I said, it's like Groundhog Day. And of course, Bitcoin is just going up and down, taking out longs, taking out shorts. Rinse and repeat. So that's kind of where the market is. It's kind of on hold right now. I think it's kind of waiting to see what happens with the U.S. government shutdown. I think we're just going to be in this holding pattern. And if this goes on for another week and a half, again, October 20th is my target date for the U.S. government shutdown to end. Because, you know, October 20th, that's a big date on the CryptoTab calendar, right? Big date. We could talk about that during the live stream. My next live stream will be Thursday, 4 o'clock p.m. East Coast time. If you want to join in, we can talk about that. But yeah, this is what Bitcoin's doing. You know, and ETH is kind of doing the same thing. It looks like a little bit more weakness. A little bit more weakness in ETH. And because of that, overnight, we end up having Bitcoin dominance tick up a little bit. So Bitcoin dominance now almost 59.5%. It came over that 59.3 resistance line that I had before. So yeah, that's the situation we've got. And you know, the news says, look, Bitcoin, ETH, XRP, Doge face selling pressure. What to watch on Thursday? Well, it's, you know, Jerome Powell's going to make some statement, some speech or something. Tom Crown's going to be covering that this morning. I'm making this video before that happens. Expect volatility, right? I don't think he's going to say anything. He never does in these speeches. This isn't the time for the Fed to make big decisions when Jerome Powell gives a speech. Is he going to be hawkish? Is he going to be dovish? How's he? I don't think any of that's going to happen. Bitcoin remains subdued on Thursday morning, a stronger U.S. dollar against the Japanese yen, but it weighs on the cryptocurrency markets. I don't understand. So yesterday we had Bitcoin and ETH ETFs, had big inflows, big money, but if we end up with a red day, right, there'll be outflows. So the ETFs come and go. Of course, overall, they've been a success, and we want that Dogecoin ETF. We want the U.S. government shutdown to end. We can get that grayscale ETF trading, because the Rex Osprey one is just, there's just not a lot of interest in that one, because that's not real like grayscale. So we wait, and we wait for that to happen. Overall, Merlin's saying, look, Bitcoin's going to follow gold. Gold just went on this big run. Of course, Peter Schiff last night, he's all like gold, 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 gold for a solid hour. If you watch him, for a solid hour, I skimmed through afterwards. I can't listen to him for a full hour. But it's like, gold, gold, gold. He got a big smile on his face, you know. And it's like, but if you would have bought Bitcoin a number of years ago instead of gold, you'd be up like 10 times as much, even with this big run in gold. But a lot of people are saying gold goes up, Bitcoin will follow. We'll see how that plays out. Also, this is a good one, right? The Bitcoin super cycle is unfolding. This is the Livermore, right? The accumulation cylinder, right? You bounce up and down, right, in this upward wedge, and then essentially you break to 0.8, and then 0.9, and that's where euphoria kicks in, right? And so This is what Merlin's saying. He's saying, look, we've been bouncing around in this upward wedge, and we're ready. This would follow that pattern, the Livermore pattern. So we'll okay, we'll do that. We'll follow that, and that could follow the whole gold thing, right? So that's positive. But CryptoPulse is saying, yeah, the Bitcoin correction might not be over yet. As we mentioned earlier, Bitcoin was due for a correction, and that's what happened. But where could it head next? It's forming a bear flag. And if it breaks down, the target could match the height of the flagpole down to 118, 117 range with this, with the dump. And it's kind of, there's a little weakness there. Now, these charts don't always play out this way. And some could see that as the dump that happened on Bitcoin, taking out hundreds of millions of dollars of leverage long, and then the whales come in and they buy and they bring the price up. We see that with Doge all the time too. Same thing happens. They smell the weakness, they buy on the red candles and bring the price up. That doesn't mean that this pattern is going to play out like that. But then we have our friend Ali. There are warning signals to highlight on the Bitcoin daily chart. And some of you might say, oh, Ali says that we're going to do the anti-Ali, right? And it's going to go up. Well, first, the TD sequential indicator. It flashed a sell signal on the Bitcoin daily chart, which typically suggests a correction. Historically, the signal has been fairly reliable. But hey, here we are. We're at this point now where Bitcoin sell signal supported by other overbought indicators, RSI, is showing some signs of exhaustion. So sometimes that does lead to a pullback. Now, it could be a minor pullback. We've had those before on the Bitcoin chart, right? Where it showed a signal and it really didn't pull back that much. This one was bigger. But right now, we could just see, again, the whales come in and they buy and they bring this higher. Each of the last two sell signals aligned with similar readings from these indicators and both led to, well, the first one wasn't really significant. The second one was, but that's because it had hit an all-time high and the market makers were out for blood. So that is, so that's Ali's outlook. Michael Vanderpop is saying, look, this is just another little pullback here. If you zoom out and you look at the altcoin market, this is total 3 over Bitcoin. Total 3 over Bitcoin. This is just a little pullback. Bitcoin versus the alts, and the alts are going to take off from here. We've seen it before. We've seen 2021 what happened, right? This could be what is coming. Now, 2021 was a different time. We talk a lot about those differences, but is that rotation, is that true rotation going to happen? Or is this going to be different? Is it going to be different this time? And this is just going to bounce around at this level, just like, you know, the Bitcoin dominance could just bounce around 60% and it just stays there. Interesting times we are in, my friends. Interesting times. Altcoins. Mustache, our crypto prof, says, I think we will soon see a big move for altcoins. The wait will soon be over. So if Bitcoin, right, is showing the sell signal and Bitcoin's going to go down, do alts necessarily have to go down also? Or is there going to be some appreciation, right, into this third alt season? Are we going to have that take off? And what does that mean for Doge? Well, our friend CryptoSurf says, look, Doge, weekly update, expecting fireworks once the 0.618 is broken. The 0.618 is back up here, 29.4. That's my 30-cent line, right? 30 cents. We got to break that. Again, this is zoomed out on the weekly, looking at the big picture, which is still very bullish since the summer of 2023. Yeah, we've had the big run here, early 2024, late 24, next big run. And Doge can't hold its gains. Well, you got to know, that's how Dogecoin trades. Very volatile, right? I keep saying this. That's how Dogecoin trades. So every time we have a pullback, you're going to be all bearish. It's like, no, those are the times to buy as it continues to move up, in my humble opinion. And Zero, our degen gambler, says, look, Doge price discovery is closer than you think. He says $1 is a rookie target because he's pointing to something even higher, $2, $2.50. We could see based on his chart, but again, we had this, the last cycle was this totally overhyped blow off top. We would need that huge, like Elon-like catalyst to make something like that happen again this cycle. Again, another Chris Pax, in my humble opinion, outlook on Dogecoin. Trader Allen's looking at the weekly saying, look, Dogecoin is mirroring itself, but in different directions and degrees, right? Up, down, up, down, up, down. That's how Dogecoin trades. This is how Dogecoin trades, right? The cycles, right? We get the bear cycle. We get the accumulation at the bottom all the way through 2023, right? So we're buying on these dips right around 5-6 cents, right? And now we got to let the whole cycle play out, which is why I'm still bullish for the second half of October and November. I think until October 20th, we may just be bouncing around now. And this is still to come. And on Trader Allen's 3-day, it's like the pattern is there. Again, zoomed out, looking at how Dogecoin trades. There's a pump, there's a dump, and then it goes sideways. There's a pump and a dump, and then it goes sideways. So that pattern continues. Dogecoin consolidating near 25 cents. Institutional backing and outflow support stability. What do you mean by that? Stability. Can you imagine stability in the Dogecoin price? No, there's no stability there. But we are seeing higher lows, right? And I know it broke 25, went down to 24.4, whatever, but that's still a higher low than what we were talking about back in August, which is higher than what we were talking about back in June. So that overall trend here is still up. Yeah. From that channel that we were looking at the other day, there is a bit of a breakdown below, which is just emphasizing right now because of the external market demands that we're just kind of bouncing around sideways, up and down, up and down. The RSI is almost like right in the middle. So yeah, controlled consolidation. On Dogecoin, it's still volatile. We're still going 24, 26, 24, 26, right? But we're nowhere near where we were mid-September with the RSI, like totally overbought. So we were just starting to touch that early October. Now we're just right in the middle. Dogecoin news. Dogecoin flashes rare bullish signal. So is $1 next? And what is that bullish signal? Again, zoomed out even more. There are these setups on the RSI that do point to explosive moves in the price of Doge. October 2023. And then, of course, we had October Q4 2024. 300% move. 400% move. Like that is the power that Dogecoin has and can still come. But we got to see what happens with these conflicting sell signals on Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin decides to dump down lower, it's probably going to take the whole crypto market with it, which is tough to see. But again, this morning, right, here we are, Groundhog Day again. We just had this, nice, beautiful run yesterday morning in the price of Doge, taking out shorts, and we could see that again happening today, a very similar move. We're now up to 24,888, trying to get back above 25. And so we will be checking in on this on the live stream. Let me know your thoughts on the sort of conflicting outlooks we have on Dogecoin, and Dogecoin compared to Bitcoin as well. Give the video a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.